And welcome to another edition of Nights Around the Fire. As you see, Ashley's back again today.
Again.
I hope you enjoyed our last video with our other researcher and podcast host, Sue Taylor. Ashley has a special project she went on today, and it was interesting when I heard her tell me what the subject was. It was the Jeff Bezos space flight. Now, I really didn't follow this. I remember hearing about William Shatner, who I watched, on his Star Trek episodes and other things he did. He's a good actor, and he talked about his time of going into space, but I didn't realize it is with Jeff Bezos. Mm-hmm. So now I know, and Ashley has some info, and there's some strange things about this, and we're going to talk about it today. So Ashley, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I apologize for being so late again.
Ashley's a busy lady, but we appreciate her. She's an excellent researcher, and I'm really blessed to have her and Sue on board on Nights Around the Fire. They're both really good researchers and articulate, and appreciate you. So what about this? What's going on?
So during the Blue Origin flight, it was an all-women crew. It was the first all-women cruise, what they advertised, and it was supposed to be women empowerment and to encourage young women to go into the STEM field. But ultimately, there was a lot of backlash for everything because of the people that they chose to go on and their responses to everything. And there were a few people who I didn't know who they were. I knew the big name, and that was Katy Perry, and that was about it for me. I didn't know anybody else on the flight.
I think Jeff Bezos' wife was on it, wasn't she?
Not wife, it's girlfriend.
Oh, girlfriend.
Yeah, because I looked that up because I wanted to know who she was, because I've heard mail order bride, I've heard fiance. So they've been together since 2018. That's all I know. So I assume girlfriend because it didn't say wife.
Because she was on. Okay. Who are the other three?
It was other four or five.
Four.
I think there was 5 or 6 total. So there was, and I did all this research because I wanted to know because there's a lot of conspiracy theories on whether they actually went to space, if they didn't, if they just faked the whole thing. And I think at first I was definitely team they faked it because of all of the videos that I had seen that were advertising for it. It just, I could believe it was faked because it looked very poorly filmed.
I had the same feeling. I heard the conspiracy theories on that, and we do follow those here on the Nights Around the Fire podcast. So there were five women, 6 women?
3, 4, 5, 6 women. 6
women, and it was all woman cast there. Mm-hmm. I saw the launch.
I watched it as well.
Now, and I didn't know this. This was number what on the
11.
Flights?
It was the 11th flight.
I don't know. Did you guys know that there was 11 flights that Bezos put into the air?
I didn't know. I hadn't even heard about it until the all-women crew went and all of the backlash that they received.
Yeah, I know that there's a space race and what would you call this, Ashley? Is this really just like a new business? Sending people into space for money?
Space tourism.
Space tourism. Okay, so space tourism. And I didn't know there were 3 men involved competing. Of course, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Branson. Yeah, I forget his first name. Branson. No, he hasn't been as visible. And I'm not sure where he stands with his space flight program. But Bezos has been sending people up only 11 times. Mm-hmm. So how far in space did they really go?
So they went, and I have it written down somewhere. I took lots of notes.
Yeah. Ashley has a lot of notes.
So they passed the Kármán line, the international recognized boundary of space, which is 62 miles above Earth, before unbuckling and to float weightless and gaze at our planet. So there's a line here, and they just barely passed over it.
The Kármán line?
The Kármán line. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because there's 2 tallies there, so I'm probably not.
Listen, folks, just to let you know, we are not linguistic people. We do not always pronounce things right. And if you remember with Ashley and I and with Sue, we had to put certain words we're going to put in the description title or the titles on the bottom because we have no idea how to pronounce their names.
And we'll put pictures up and stuff like that to describe it.
We'll make sure we get you where we need to be. Okay, so So I get the feeling that there's probably a lot of controversy because they were women.
I don't even know if it's the fact that they were specifically women, but because they were making such a big deal of they are the first all-women crew.
Okay.
Which technically isn't true because, and I'm going to say this name wrong, Valentina Tereshkova is in 1963. She was the first woman in space, and she did a solo mission. So it was that in of itself, I think, is a very big thing to celebrate.
Yes,
and
it is.
she not only went up to be the first woman in space, but she went by herself. There was no other crew with her. It was solely herself.
Wow. And then that's impressive. And you know, we support that. I think anytime a young girl can see other women succeed, I think it's a big deal. I think it's important for our society to know that everybody can succeed to the highest level. Literally, get at the highest level. We'll be here for another hour.
Well, not in Blue Origin's case. It's just barely.
Yeah, they barely. So I guess they do consider that a space flight.
They do technically, yes.
Okay, so
it is the very beginning of space.
So this is the idea then. What you're saying to me, Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that we'll launch you into space and we'll get you right above the line we consider
space.
Yeah, space. You'll float around. How long were they up there, Ashley?
They were up there. The entire flight was 10 minutes and about 23 seconds. It wasn't even 11 minutes.
What does that include? The launch?
That includes the launch and that includes the landing. They experienced zero gravity for roughly 4 minutes. They were unbuckled for about 2 minutes. So it was a ride. And I think it was...
Here we go, yeah. That's a good point.
Gail King was extremely offended that people were calling it, and even other famous people were saying that it was just a ride. They just went on a ride because they're claiming this title of being an astronaut. They are now an astronaut because they went into space, which is a whole thing in itself. But she said it's not a ride, it's an experience. You know, they had to do all this training and all the stuff, which I have.
What did they do? How'd they train?
So their training, and this is according to Blue Origin's website, is over 2 days. You'll learn about New Shepard's mission profile, safety systems, zero gravity protocols, and execute mission simulations.
You getting this?
That's it. 2 days of just, okay, this is when you unbuckle, this is what this does, this is what this does, you buckle at this time, and this is what you'll experience.
And you won't die.
Yeah, you won't die.
Wow. So, yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot of training.
No.
How long does it take a real astronaut to train?
So I looked up, according to NASA, what it takes to be an astronaut. You have to be a United States citizen. You have to have a master's degree in a STEM field, including engineering, biological science, physical science, computer science, and mathematics from an accredited institution. Have a minimum of 3 years of related professional experience obtained after the degree completion, or 1,000 pilot in-command hours with at least 850 of those hours in high-performance jet aircraft for pilots. For medical doctors, time in residency can count towards experience. Be able to successfully complete the NASA long-duration flight astronaut physical. And then the master's degree requirement can also be met by 2 years of work towards the doctoral program, complete a Doctor of Medicine or related medical degree. Astronaut candidates also must have skills in leadership, teamwork, and communications.
I don't think they checked a lot of those boxes off with these 6 people.
Any. Well, actually, so there were 2 people on board who I consider, if any of them should be called astronauts, it should be those 2 because they have the schooling or they have the training. And that is Aisha Bowie. She's an aerospace engineer. And her purpose on the flight was aboard Blue Origin, she will carry postcards from students around the world and conduct 3 research experiments, including studies on plant biology and human psychology, advancing her mission to explore space for the benefit of Earth. I don't necessarily see how she would be able to do all of that in 4 minutes. So I question that. But she has the aerospace engineering background. So she at least has that. And I believe she worked in NASA at one point. And then Amanda, and I'm not even going to attempt her last name because I have no idea. She's an American social entrepreneur, a civil rights activist, and bioastronautics researcher. And I know I've heard a little bit about her story. She was in it. She wanted to be an astronaut, and she did all of the research and stuff, and she worked for NASA for a long time. And then, unfortunately, something happened to her where she left and then became a civil rights activist. But then she got to be able to come back and do her research. So those are the two people who I would consider to be actual astronauts that went on, because they have the training, and or at least some training that a real astronaut would need.
You know, you think about this in a way, and folks, you might say, well, okay, 10 minutes, you're right, it isn't really as big of a deal as you would think, although anytime I guess you get to go into space or even close to space, I mean, we're never going to be able to do that. But
well, you could for a price.
For a price. We'll talk about that in a minute. But like these two people, I'm sure they would love to have been involved in real research to be involved with NASA, because they have the qualifications to do it science-wise, but never will get the chance to work for NASA. That's a very small group. So maybe, you know, these the ability to go on even this short trip maybe checks a box off for them. And, you know, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, not everybody's going to be able to do this, but, you know, if you've had a dream of going into space, let's be honest, even our shuttles, how far were they off the Earth, you know's atmosphere? Not far. That's a whole nother story, because that's a whole nother conspiracy, going to Mars and these other places, mm-hmm. and the moon landing. We'll talk about that another time. Do you think, Ashley?
I think that'll be a good subject.
Right. I know Ashley has a lot of opinions there, and we'll get to that on one of the programs. So please stay tuned. By the way, we're a new channel. Please help us out, like, subscribe, and share our videos with your friends and family. Hit that bell icon, and that'll let you know when we have new videos. We're going to try to make them faster, more and more of them. Now we have another person on board. We can definitely put some videos out there, and we're going to entertain you. We're going to delve into mysteries, and a lot of things in this world are mysterious, and I love mysteries. I do. I love them. I've always loved them. It's my pet peeve in my life is mysteries. I'm a mystery. You haven't figured that out. And by the way, I do have another channel, the David Tomsic Show. Ashley has been on that, and we'll be on that again. That's really about current events and what's happening in our world. So please go over to that channel. I'll leave a link in the description box. Anyway, so Ashley, how much does it cost?
So you can actually purchase a ticket, though Blue Origin does not disclose exactly how much. You can do a fully refundable deposit of $150,000. And Google says that Blue Origin guesstimates at about $2 to $4 million per seat. The one ticket was bidded on for, it was in between $21 to $25 million. So for the low price of $2 to $4 million, you too could be an astronaut.
For 10 minutes.
With no schooling, no training.
The 10-minute astronaut. That's a book title.
It's not even the whole thing. Which is funny because they were up there for maybe 10 minutes. They weren't even up there for 10 minutes. They were up there for 4 minutes.
Right.
It took them longer to get up there and to land. And I watched the entire footage that Blue Origin puts on their website, and it was a documentary. It was over 2 hours of just interviewing prior to, and I think it was to compensate for the lack of how long they were actually up there.
Right.
But what you don't hear about is the two astronauts who were stuck in space for months.
Yeah.
Prior to that, they had just come home. You don't hear about. They were supposed to be up there, I think, a week or 2 weeks, and they were up there for months.
Space flight, even what we're considering space flight here, is still not maybe the safest thing in the world. Let's be honest. I mean, you know, a lot of things can go wrong. We know this. And of course, the more they do them, the more, they get to know how to do it right. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to be the guy where they did it wrong and learned from me, but I'm dead. And I don't have $2 or $3 million
to just throw into a 10-minute ride.
No, here's the thing. Here I go. The rabbit hole. Ashley's familiar with my rabbit hole investigations. But these guys, Bezos and Musk, we'll just talk about them. Because Branson, I'm not sure where that guy is. He's a weird guy, too. They're making millions of dollars sending things into space and getting paid. Musk, just about everything comes from government contracts. And Bezos is, of course, Amazon. You buy a package and he hits the cash register from Amazon. But these guys apparently don't pay enough taxes.
They don't pay taxes at all, apparently.
And as I say on my other channel, pay your taxes. You're making a lot of money. Pay some taxes. We're paying taxes.
Well,
a lot of taxes. Not. Well, okay.
But there's a reason why.
One of us is paying taxes. And I'm just saying.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
You're welcome. Yeah. Anytime, Ashley. So I'm just saying here, okay, it's okay. I'm not against entrepreneurs and making money. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But most people in these tax brackets don't pay taxes. And that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, when you're making billions and billions and billions of dollars, you don't need, that space to be like, oh, well, I can't afford it. Well, you should, because the rest of us can't afford.
Right, absolutely. And, you're making money while other people are like losing their health care. I mean, I have a problem with that. So this is my one problem with these guys. I mean, granted, it's amazing that, and it took a while, though, for people to actually have space flights for people. I mean, I don't know how many years ago we went to the moon. I forget, 60, whatever, 68 or whatever it was. And we really haven't gone past that point since then. Don't you think? But now we're launching rockets into space. And I guess you think about it, it's not maybe as complex as it was 25 or 30 years ago. But it's still for rich people. Let's be honest. You and I mean, they might give us a coupon. Remember on Jurassic Park? It was the Jurassic Park, and they said, it's going to cost a lot of money for people to come here. And the one guy says, we'll give poorer people a coupon day. So you get to be eaten by a dinosaur at half price. So I'm just saying, Ashley, this just seems indulgent.
It does. And it just seems like it's for the rich people who have so much money they don't know what to do with themselves. And they're just bored. So why not cater to them while the rest of us, everyday people are sitting here struggling to either put food on the table or to keep a roof over their heads and
buy meat.
But that's fine. Yeah, buy meat.
Yeah. Ashley informed me that her butcher raised prices on the meat she buys. And of course, we're seeing that across the board here. So fortunately, you can always buy worse tasting meat, not so good tasting meat from Walmart or Sam's Club, wherever they get their meat. And that's a whole nother series, because we've talked about food before.
We talked about fast food specifically.
And
which I believe, I can't think of what his name is, who's in charge of the Food Administration now. He supposedly banned all the food coloring, or food dyes in food. So whether that happens or not, we'll actually see, because that would be great. That would help with so many health issues in general, if so. But, we'll see if that ends up happening, or if he just banned certain names, because I've noticed that they started to rename food dyes. Instead of, yellow 5 or whatever it was, they call it sunshine yellow now. So, is he just banning yellow 5, or is he banning it as a whole?
Is he just banning it for certain groups, certain companies?
Yeah.
We'll find that out. But I'm sure when it comes to like rich people in general, they can buy anything they want. And these 6 people, were they all rich people?
Yes.
I know Katy Perry definitely is not hurting for money. And if Jeff Bezos' girlfriend definitely probably got the big discount. But the other ones probably had to either have someone pay for it or had $2 million, $3 million?
$2 to $4 million. So there's Lauren Sanchez, which is Jeff Bezos' girlfriend. There's Kerianneflynn, who's an executive producer. Katy Perry, who's obviously a singer-songwriter. Gayle King, who's an American TV personality.
Yeah.
And then the two ladies that I had mentioned.
I wonder if they paid or if they were put on because they had science backgrounds and maybe given the coupon discount.
I think, well, even given their status, even if they weren't the richest, because I don't believe that either one of them probably were. I mean, I think they would make decent money, but because of their jobs, but I don't think they would make nearly something as Gayle King or Katy Perry, or especially Lauren Sanchez.
Yeah.
But they could have gone on strictly for qualifications. They might have been qualified too. Or it could have just been, they couldn't put all celebrities on there, so they had to throw in some people.
Bingo. I think that might be a good way to look at it. Mm-hmm. That might be onto something there. You know, you have to make it somewhat like a science project and not just a ride. But it is just a ride. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. You go to an amusement park, how long's the ride there? 30 seconds?
Yeah, 30 seconds. The line is longer than that.
Yeah, so you're in line for 25 minutes.
25 minutes? You're in line for like 2 hours.
Well, it depends on where you go. Where do you go?
Nowhere anymore. You can't wait in those lines. I get overheated.
Yeah, Ashley's not going to wait in the line. Your brother didn't like to wait in the line either. We had gone to our local amusement park with Ashley's brother and her niece, and he was not the biggest thrill rider that I've ever seen. In fact, he wasn't a big thrill rider. So, Ashley, you might have been in the past?
I enjoy some rides, but the older I get, the more I realize I could die on them, so I try not to.
Wow.
Like, there was...
Is there a cautionary tale here?
Well, I was riding, and I think it was... Maybe Kennywood. It was the racer one.
Yeah.
I was in one, and it was doing great. I love the older wooden roller coasters. I love them. I prefer them over the newer roller coasters because they've been there for how long? The odds of them falling apart, in my mind, are less likely. But as we were riding, we happened to hit a bend somewhere, and my neck had jerked back, and it gave me whiplash in my neck. It was out of nowhere, and then I couldn't enjoy the rest of the day because of that. So I'm a bit more
if we all
cautious on what rides I go on now.
Kennywood, we have to bring a neck brace for Ashley, especially on the wooden roller coasters. Apparently, Kennywood has 3 wooden roller coasters, and the Thunderbolt being the most famous of them. So we do enjoy this stuff here in southwestern Pennsylvania, although none of us are going to space anytime soon. Any other comments on this? So in the end here, I truly thought this could have been a hoax, but I didn't realize he sent 11 people up, 11 flights up. So, okay, I'm wrong. I tend to always err on the side of like, I guess I don't trust him. Mm-hmm. But it just looked odd when it landed and he went to get the capsule and he fell. It just all looked kind of weird to me.
Somebody opened up the door prior to, and they had to go and tell them to shut the door because they weren't ready, which there's rumors going around that Jeff Bezos is going to sue Katy Perry because she's the one who opened it up and ruined the perfect PR stunt to advertise for it, which is not true. There's no evidence showing at all that there's any legal action being taken. And I don't even believe it was Katy Perry who opened it. I believe it was his girlfriend who had opened up the door.
And he's not going to say anything to her. I'm guaranteeing you that. Nope. You'll be,
But a lot of people also, they found it strange, and I found it strange watching the video. There was audio. You could hear them in space, but they put no actual video of either them, the outside of space or the inside of the capsule during the flight, during the live flight. And people thought, I think it's weird as well, that they wouldn't have that with as much money as you're spending to be put in that they're making. There's no video
that we
whatsoever
know of
that they put out.
Yeah,
there's no video that they put out of around just to see what they saw and to see what they were all doing. And then even the clips that they do show of them in is about 30 seconds. I can't find anything longer than about 30 seconds, and it's very edited. It jumps from camera to camera, person to person. And people, they thought it was strange that for the most part, they were just looking at the cameras. They were, Katy Perry's holding up a flower and just sitting there staring at the camera and how connected to Mother Earth she is and she feels and la-di-da-di-da. And other people, they're just staring at the cameras or they're recording themselves. And it's like, you're in space and you only have 2 minutes to do all of this. And you're going to sit there and stare at the cameras. You're not going to stare out and look at the Earth or anything like that.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem with that too. Now, if I remember, and I've just told Ashley this, the only time I've heard anybody say anything about being involved in a space flight, I guess a tourism space flight, was William Shatner, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. And he had said that he looked out into space and it was frightening because you don't see stars. It's black. The only reason we see stars, my understanding of the physics of it, and I'm not a physicist, is that, our atmosphere filters out stuff that we can see stars. So he said, but looking out there was bleak and looked like death, which, right, to me, if you're going into space and something goes wrong, you're dead. But he looked at the Earth, of course, and saw the beauty. So why didn't they show more? We may never know.
Yeah,
it is a flight.
It is strange.
I mean, it's a, maybe to some degree, because it's a tourism thing, it's a tour, maybe it's not that important. Maybe it was because they were 5 women or 6 women. Maybe that was the hype about it because we didn't hear anything about the last 11.
Yeah, no.
There was no real hype because he's selling tickets no matter if he advertises it on, YouTube or all the networks that show it. Either way, it's still just a space flight for
rich people.
For rich people for 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because there is a flight that, us poor people could probably be more manageable to afford, which they're called parabolic flights. So you can go into a flight and they'll go up to a certain distance and they basically kind of just drop, and they'll do it a couple of times. It's also known as a vomit comet because it makes a lot of people throw up and get nauseous. But you experience zero gravity for roughly 20 to 30 seconds at a time. And that's practically what they did. And if you look at the chart of where they went, they didn't go up and do things and then just come back down. They just went and they just came back down. And that's what an entire flight with a parabolic flight is. You just go and you fall back down, and then you wait and you go up and then you fall back down.
This is done in an airplane, right?
Mm-hmm. It is done in a very big airplane. So you could experience. I didn't see how much those tickets are. I would never experience it myself. I would probably vomit everywhere.
Oh, thanks for sharing that with us here, Ashley. Don't take her on a spin flight. Yep. No, I did go to Disney, and I went on their Mission to Mars flight. Mistake.
Disneyland or Disney World?
What's in Florida?
Disney World.
Disney World. I was in Disneyland. I was in both years ago, Disneyland, but Disney World. And I went on that flight, and, wow. So what they do to simulate, and no one told me this, what they do to simulate space flight is they spin you this way. So you're sitting in there, and Gary Sinise was the guy speaking, and he was the moderator. Gary Sinise, of course, played, I think, in Mission to Mars back in that day. And you're looking up and you're going into space, but they're spinning you. I was sick for like 25 minutes. My head hurt. Never again. So let this be a cautionary tale to you. Don't go on Mission to Mars if you get sick on spinny things. And like Ashley, I felt like throwing up. I'm not sure that I did. I might have.
I think you would probably remember if you did.
But I was sick.
And that's another thing that I noticed is there is a very quick, it's 2 or 3 seconds video of when they first take off Katy Perry, and she has her head tucked down and she's just, her mouth is open. She's like, like just because of the flight.
G-force.
And that's cool and all. But if you actually look to see what her face would be snapped back. There's no way possible she's lifting her head up off of that seat at all. Like, even in a flight, you're not going as fast as you would in a rocket, and you get pushed back sometimes because of the force. And not only that, there's videos of astronauts in the training of the G-force, because you have to get used to that. It's not something that you can just go and do. None of them got sick on the flight, notice that.
No.
I probably would have. But there was no G-force on her face or anything like that. Her head was tucked up, and she was just, wow. And it would be taking your breath away, because that's what it does.
There's a Pride in Cedar Point. We used to go there every year. And it's basically, it goes from 0 to 80 and like.
Is that the one that goes up and then comes back down?
And let me tell you, that alone, you're sitting in that seat, which I did in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel the G-force. Your head snaps back. And but again, these are the kind of the things conspiracy theories are made of. You see something and you can't make sense of it because you don't see the entirety. So you know what? I'm going to say, okay, they were launched into space. They stayed there for 4 minutes. They took pictures of themselves. They obviously didn't spend a lot of time looking at the Earth.
No. Which
is what I would have wanted to see. And they came back down.
They got to hear Katy Perry sing, too.
Oh, did she sing?
And I forget what song it was. It was What a Wonderful World or something like that.
Wow.
But she sang it, but that's not in any of the videos that you see of inside the spacecraft. She doesn't sing.
Well, one thing we can say that Jeff Bezos basically knows how to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, he's not a great at publicity because this, from what we're talking to you about, seems to be
didn't turn out very well.
Didn't turn out very well. It wasn't done by a professional marketing firm, apparently, because they have a lot of holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we will agree that they went into space.
They went into space.
And
they went on the edge of space.
Edge of space. Okay, so here's space. And they were right here. Okay, so we agree. And they came back, and as weird as that was, and old Jeff fell into the hole.
And they were very dramatic. There was no what felt like natural reaction, any natural emotion when they came out. It felt very scripted. And I noticed, I don't know if anybody else noticed because I didn't see anything about it, Jeff Bezos, all the women came out one by one, and Jeff Bezos was standing off to the side, and he hugged all of the celebrities. He did not hug the aerospace engineer, and he did not hug the other lady at all. They both of them just walked right past him, but all of the celebrities had to go and give him this big hug. And
those were the paying customers, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they paid.
Yeah. But I thought that was a bit strange. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is strange.
Wouldn't you hug all of them, or even them want to give him a hug? Thank you for this experience. I thought that was a little
maybe this
strange.
The whole flight was coupon day. You know why I say that? Because he got 6 women to go, and he made a deal that it was 6 women.
Mm-hmm. In skin-tight spacesuits.
Of course.
Which, in the past flights, they didn't have suits like that. They were much baggier on them. They weren't pressurized suits, which is another thing. Is how are they able to wear just normal clothing tailored to their bodies and not have a pressurized suit?
Now, not that guys cared about that so much, although they probably did. But let's go back a little bit. So what if they came out, changed into their skin-tight suits for the camera?
They could have.
I mean, this again, we're stretching this.
Well, they had the suits on when they entered,
right,
and when they buckled up, and they had them when they come off.
So where would they get new suits within the capsule unless they filmed this after they changed?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is how you stage things for promotion. Of course, you don't want to see women in, big outfits. You want to see them in, obviously, skin-tight suits. Jeff Bezos probably said, maybe we can get more people that want to do this. I wonder if they have a waiting list.
Probably.
Because
I think on the website it said that you're not guaranteed, even with the deposit, it's not a guarantee spot on the flight. So I assume that there's probably a big waiting list of celebrities and people who can.
Now, if me or you applied, and if we had $2 to $3 million,
If we had that deposit money.
so if we did apply, he's going to pick and choose. Really, it's going to be up to him, guaranteed, who he puts on there, because he wants people that will help promote more people that have money to go on a space flight. Celebrities are always great because everybody wants to do what the celebrities did. If you're another celebrity, you can't let Katy Perry stage you up. Who could be next? What's another singer that might?
Oprah Winfrey was there for the launch, and I think Gayle King is her friend.
Yeah, Gayle King's her friend.
And she was just in tears as they were going. It's like,
Wow.
I could understand maybe after coming back, just in tears of excitement of what you just experienced.
Plus, she got back in one piece.
Yeah, came back in one piece, but it was very obvious that it felt very staged.
Listen, friends.
Everybody was putting on their best looks, their best angles.
They probably had a whole makeup thing in there, too.
Oh, probably.
You know,
I didn't watch the full 2-hour documentary they had on it.
I couldn't. Well, I wouldn't be able to watch it, actually. No. I couldn't. I mean, it's not up my alley at all. And, you know, thank God they came back safe. You know, I'm glad that. But I want to let you know that we want to hear what you think. So please tell us in the comment sections.
Put down your conspiracy theories on why you think it was faked or not.
Right. And, of course, anything you want to say, please just let us know what you think. Don't forget that we might read them on the air if it's really interesting. Also, let us know what other conspiracy theories, myths, or mysteries or legends you want to talk about.
We'll have to take a poll.
Right, because there's plenty of them. You know, and Ashley just asked me, there's so many. And, of course, when you do research, you want to do something that you can actually kind of grasp all in 1 hour program. And sometimes we can't. We may have to do multiple programs on certain conspiracies. Sue and I are going to do multiple Bigfoot videos because there's so much. And we are thinking about going into the woods. Not necessarily to hunt Bigfoot. But, and Ashley, we're going to make sure she comes. For those of you that heard her the very first video, she had some reservations. We've got a group of people.
Deep, what forest we're going. If it's at my parents' house's backwoods, I'm okay with that. Like, I know there's probably black bear back there. There's been sightings, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, the thing is here, I think, just like any conspiracy theory, there's always anything that happens you can create a conspiracy theory from. You can. Bigfoot is one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest, you know, and it's pop culture now. But what we want to do, and with Ashley, we have a group of people that have volunteered to go with us, and just to go in and see what it's like at night.
Oh, we're spending the night?
Because people that go hunting Bigfoot go at night, because they're obviously nocturnal, what many people believe. And people say, well, why can't we find Bigfoot? So we're going to go into the woods and see why it's pretty much impossible to find anything. Now, I've been, as I mentioned in our first video, I've been in the dark, deep woods, and it is frightening if you think about it. Now, Ashley's right. I mean, the forest, the woods next to your house, probably not so much. But when you know that you're surrounded by miles of forest. And what I'm thinking is we can go up into the Laurel Mountains. And, of course, there's a national park right next to Seven Springs. We're thinking of that.
We get eaten by a mountain lion.
So just remember, please comment if you'd like. If you think about it, say, Ashley, you have to go. She'll be safe.
I'm the weakest link. You can't leave. I have to be in the middle of the group because if I'm far behind, then I'm perfect pickings.
We'll put you in front of Dave.
Okay.
Dave's a big dude, and he's a good guy. He'll make sure that they just don't get dragged off by whatever it is. So anyway, please comment. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share our videos. Hit the bell icon. Please comment. We enjoy hearing from you. Don't forget, of course, the David Tomsic Show. Leaving a link there. We'll also put maybe some more pictures in the video. Now that we're thinking about it, we're going to make sure you get a real full view of this whole conspiracy, which we kind of debunked as a conspiracy.
I don't know if you'll be able to do it, but maybe you could, because it's such a short video, it's only 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes in total of the flight, maybe you could put it into the video. if you're able to.
Well, if you
That'd be
see
cool.
this video and it's in there, we did it. If it's not in here, obviously we didn't do it.
Yeah, go Google it for yourself.
Yeah, you have Google. You do that.
Yeah, Blue Origin's website has the actual flight. It was all the live footage that they had from the news crews and things, so you can check that out. I don't know where you could necessarily find the footage of them inside, because it's all, if you look it up, it's just all these other creators who do it. So I don't know where the full video is, if there even is one.
Yeah, it's
That's about 30
difficult
seconds.
sometimes. It's fragmented, to be honest with you. But if you think it's conspiracy, let us know. We don't think so. But it is an interesting thing, and there are a lot of strange things that happen, and especially when you're dealing with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. There's a lot of money involved. So this is going to be crafted to benefit them, of course. So that's all the time we're going to put in this today.
Thank you all for
joining.
listening.
Listen, you want the best conspiracy theory talks, legends, myths, and whatever else we
And
look
other.
at, mysteries. This is the channel for it.
Etc.
Thank you, Ashley. We'll see you next time
Thanks for having me.
on the Nights Around the Fire.
Yes. I was going to say the Tom Sick analysis again.
Yeah, we've had that problem. That's okay.
So I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing.
God bless you all. We'll see you next time.